Hey besties, thank you so much for joining my channel. Today we are going to be doing the part 2 to my palette collection series, and I hope that you guys enjoy. I'm trying to think of anything else I have to say beforehand. We definitely have more palettes in this video than in the last video, so definitely go get a snack or something because this is going to be a long one. Okay guys, so just to show you for reference, this is the drawer we went through in part 1. Okay, some empty space in there, and this is the drawer. This is the drawer we're gonna go through in part 2. That's why I'm saying definitely grab a snack here. I'm gonna start with the Juvia's Place palettes that I own. This is the Warrior 3, and the packaging on all of these palettes is amazing. This is what the inside looks like. Obviously, if you're not a lover of color, you're probably not going to like a lot of the Juvia's Place palettes, but I do really love color, and I do love this palette a lot. The only thing I will say is I prefer the shimmers to the mattes every single time, so I wish there were more shimmers in this specific palette, but I think it's a really beautiful color story. This palette, on the other hand, this Deuce by Juvia's palette, is actually going to be way better for people who do like neutral shades, because as you can see, yes, you have these pops of color, these 2 pops of color, but other than that, it is pretty neutral. And I love the eye looks that I come out with this palette. I especially love this shade right here, and the green is also really beautiful too. This next palette is the Nubian 3 Coral palette, and the thing I love about this coral palette especially is the fact that they didn't just keep it to like those orangey colors. They really added some depth in there. I feel like when people try to do like peachy toned palettes or coral palettes, they don't really add that dimension. So I love that you really do get that in this palette specifically, and the quality of this palette is amazing, just like their other palettes. This is the Warrior 2, and this one is another palette I think you'd be okay if you do love neutrals, obviously, because this is straight up all neutral tones. It's an all matte palette, which I personally love. I think that sometimes all matte looks are some of the most beautiful and just visually appealing looks that you can make. Just really soft looks you can create with this palette, and I haven't used it a bunch, but I really love this color story. Alright, we're getting into like the older ones right here. This is the Saharan palette, and I don't really have a lot to say about this one. I do like the color story. I think it's actually very gorgeous, but for whatever reason I don't really use it as much. As I did get this palette, I think maybe like 2 years ago, a while ago. Like, this is one of the first palettes I ever got, so I haven't really been reaching for it, but I think this is truly one of the most stunning color stories that they own. This is the palette I think I got first from them, and it's the Nubian palette. It looks like this, and I do think that this is a beautiful neutral palette. Nowadays I have neutral palettes that I like a little bit more than this one, so I don't really reach to it or gravitate towards it at all, but at the time it was a really staple piece of my collection. This is the Zulu by Juvia's palette, and I'm not going to talk too much about this one. It's not my favorite. I mean, it is very beautiful, but I don't really resonate with the top row too much. I just more so really like the shimmers in this palette, and I do like the mattes as well, but I feel like they have better matte quality in other palettes. But I always make this watermelon look with these 2-3 shades right here, and I always am in love with the look I make every single time. So yeah, I don't mind this one, but it's not my favorite. This one right here is the Saharan 2 by Juvia's, and I'm gonna tell you guys, I love this one. Guys, this palette works like a dream. I look at this palette and feel happy. I'm able to make so many looks with this palette, and anytime I use this palette, I feel pretty. Do you know what I mean? I can make a really glam look, or I can go really soft and neutral, and I really like that about this palette. You can do a neutral look and add a pop of blue on the under eye. You can just do a lot here, and I think you can be creative, but at the same time still, you know, muted down too, so I really like this one. This is the Masquerade palette, and this is actually the first one I ever received, and I loved this one because it had a really nice concept with the top two being colorful and the bottom two being neutral. I think that this was a really, really, really amazing palette because it really helped people incorporate pops of color without feeling overwhelmed, because you had these brown tones down here as well to kind of, you know, help you map out how to incorporate just a little bit of color really easily. So for that reason, I did really love this palette back then. I still do, I just don't use it anymore. This is the Magic palette, and I know they have a smaller version, but I remember when it came out, I was like, no, I need the big version because this is gorgeous. I could have definitely went with the smaller version because I haven't hit pan on anything, but I will tell you the duochromes in here are amazing, and I think it is really, really, really worth the money because the quality is amazing. And on top of that, you're getting so many shimmer shades, which I told you I personally love them for more than the mattes. So with this one, I feel like it was a no-brainer that I had to get it. Move on to our Colourpop 9-pan palettes. First one is the Orange You Glad palette. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous color story, you guys. If you guys are interested in getting into color but you don't know where to start, definitely try to pick up any of these palettes because they are so bomb with their quality. I mean, the quality, the way that these are curated and still so affordable is just beyond me. But this is definitely really, really nice. The only thing I will say is I know that some people don't like this pressed glitter, you know, thing that people do in their palettes. So if you don't like that, just know that this is something that they do pretty often. Just keep that in mind. This next one is the Honey palette, and it's probably my favorite out of the bunch. I think that this is an amazing way to incorporate yellow. It's very similar, in my opinion, to the Naked Honey palette by Urban Decay, not with like the visual, but just with the fact that they incorporated yellow in such a nice way where it's very flattering and not too scary. So yeah, I really, really love this. It's a beautiful, beautiful palette. It's gotten so much use from me and it will continue to do so. This one is the It's My Pleasure palette. I do think that this is a really stunning color story. However, the mattes in here are like okay, like specifically this one. I feel like it's like okay. It's a little dry. Other than that though, I think it is really, really stunning. This one right here next to it is actually really, really beautiful and I make a lot of looks with it. But just be warned that this shade right here is a little bit choppy. So it takes a little bit longer to blend out on the eye. But other than that, you have some gorgeous shimmer shades in here. And for that reason, I think this is stunning and really, really worth it. And purple's my favorite color. So it was a no-brainer that I also had to get this one. I love it. The next palette we have is the Baby Got Peach palette, and this is an amazing color story. This is an amazing quality of eyeshadow. None of these are misses. You do have that little, you know, pressed glitter in there, but I do want to say that I wish we would have had a deeper brown in here, and I know that like that's nitpicky, but I really, really do think that we could have took one of these two shades right here out and replaced it with a darker brown, just because I really, really love to have that depth with my eye looks. And while I know peach is supposed to be like really light and, you know, fun, but I still think we could have had a deeper brown, if that makes sense. Oh, you guys, I love this palette. This is the Smoke Show palette, and before this palette, I had never played with any blacks, grays, rustic shades before they really made this one, because it just makes it so much less intimidating than other palettes that I've seen. I've made so many nice looks with this palette and just really, really like rustic, and I think this is really interesting and unique in the beauty community. I don't see a lot of palettes like this done right, and Colourpop did a phenomenal job. Phenomenal job. Okay, this is the Lilac You A Lot palette. Such a cute name. Obviously, my middle shade broke, which is unfortunate. That's not Colourpop's fault. That's just me being clumsy. But other than that, which it was a stunning shade, by the way, in the middle, that was like a very beautiful, gorgeous shimmer shade. But other than that, the quality in here is amazing. See, this purple right here feels great. This one feels a little dry, but I will tell you, even with that being said, this is a very beautiful, blendable, amazing shadow palette. And I don't have any complaints. I'm not even gonna say they could have did a deeper purple because this purple palette is literally lilac, so it's fine. And this one is pretty deep. I really like the shades you get in here. This next palette is the Strawberry Shake palette. I think this is so girly and cute. I definitely think of a strawberry shake when I do look at it. I love all the eye looks I've been able to come out with. I love the shimmer shades that they chose. I love that they put like this orangey color in here too, because you can really make, you know, a look really unique. I think that this was a beautifully done palette, and yeah, it's pretty old though. I think I did a collection video that's actually up on my YouTube right now on this palette, and I think that was like 2-3 years ago. So yeah, she's an old one. This is the Blue Moon palette by Color. This is the Blue Moon palette, and this is one of them that's really stood the test of time because I still to this day use this palette. I still love it. I still feel like blue is such an intimidating shade in my opinion personally, and when this palette came out, I really started to use it more, and anytime I really want a nice blue look, I reach for this one. This is the Just My Luck palette, you guys, and it's also a really fun take on the shade green. Let me actually show you guys this right here. This is the Huda Beauty Diamonds Obsession palette, and it's definitely not 100% a dupe by any means, but I wanted to show you guys that this is like a $30 palette. I think this one is like $12. So if you've been wanting to play with green but you can't really afford something like this, you can definitely try this one out for a little bit less money and just really like experiment with it, you know? This is the Sweet Talk palette. These are all my cardboard ones, by the way, and it looks like this. I still use this to this day, and this palette is like 2 years old at this point, and I just think it's a really nice pinky toned palette. This is the I Think I Love You palette, and I think that this palette would be beautiful in anyone's collection. I think you can definitely create some Instagram baddie eyeshadow looks with this specific palette. I think you can also really do like a really deep nighttime look with this palette, or you could go really light with it if you wanted to, with like for every day. This is the Dream Street palette by Kathleen Lights. Well, collabed with Kathleen Lights, and I think that this is a really gorgeous color story. The packaging is so pretty. This collab also came with 2 lip glosses too, you guys, which were amazing. I think that anything that Kathleen Lights usually does is pretty good when it comes to makeup, and yeah, I really like the colors in here, especially these 2 shimmer shades specifically right there. I'll show you what they look like on my finger. These are really pretty, you guys. I would definitely recommend this to anyone, and that's saying something because this is like 3 years old at this point. This is the Through My Eyes I Love Sarah E Colourpop collab palette, and it is beautiful. If I was going to recommend one palette out of this whole Colourpop section, I probably recommend you this one just because the color story is gorgeous. Now, it's definitely not a neutral palette. Let's just get that out of the way. It's definitely not neutral in my opinion at all. So if you're like really like a diehard neutral lover, you probably won't like this. But I feel like it incorporates a bunch of color without being too overwhelming as well. And I think that that's what I specifically look for in palettes. And I think that this is a really beautiful, well thought out palette with some gorgeous tones in here. I mean, for fall, this is a beautiful palette. I think this was the first Colourpop palette that I ever actually used, and there's nothing wrong with it at all. I just don't really reach into it anymore just because it's so old. It probably would not be very good to put that on my eyes, but it's really beautiful, you guys. Really nice fall tones in there too. And yeah, I don't really have much to say other than this packaging is not cute. But the packaging now is so great, so, but yeah, they've came a long way. Packaging, on the other hand, is so cute to me. This is the Midnight Masquerade palette. Guys, I definitely have a broken shade in here, so, well, 2 broken shades. This palette is really beautiful. It does scream princess to me. I do really love, this is the top, by the way, so pretty. I really do love how this palette was also put together. I love how there's like one middle row of shimmers. I wish more brands would like do this with the middle row of shimmers. Well, there's a shimmer right here too, but like we're not gonna talk about that. Just act like this is matte. But yeah, I think it's really, really pretty, really nice. Especially, I would personally look at this and think of the holidays. I don't know about anyone else, but I think it's a really nice palette. And yeah, I thought it was so cute that they did something with Disney. I'm not really sure what this is because I just looked on the back of the palette and I don't see a name, so this must be something that I put together myself with shimmers and bright colors. I really haven't tried these on the bottom, but I'll tell you that these pressed glitters are amazing. I know a lot of people don't like them, so just so you know, I do also have this. This is the My Little Pony palette, and this is such a cute one. This reminds me of like Sweet Tarts, like with the shades. I don't know, it just reminds me of freaking Sweet Tarts, and it kind of makes me hungry a little bit. I think it's such a cutesy palette. I personally don't use it anymore because again, it's really old. Like, it's really, really old. But I think that when it first came out, it was so beautiful. It still is so pretty and girly and cutesy with these, all these shades and tones in here. Oh, it's so pretty. Maybe I'll have to revisit it. Is it okay to put it on my eyes? Comment below when palettes expire. I think it's like a year or two. This is the Golden State of Mind palette, and it is an all shimmer palette. I remember when this came out, it was so popular, and for a good reason. Like, the quality on here is really nice. I hope you guys can see that. That one kind of looks bad. Hold on. The quality in here is really, really nice. I think what stops me from reaching for it though, is the fact that it is all shimmer. That's all you get here. So it's definitely going to be a complementary palette with a palette with mattes in it for sure. Unless you like to use just shimmers. I personally don't though. But there's nothing wrong with it. I just feel like when a palette needs another palette, sometimes I just accidentally use it less or don't use it at all. These two Animal Crossing Colourpop palettes, this one is in 5 Star Island, and this is La Belle of the Ball. This is La Belle of the Ball. Super cute. I don't know if 4 shades is like enough for me, but I got it in a unboxing video, so a mystery box video. So there's that, and then there's 5 Star Island. This one is really, really pretty. This next palette is super random. This is the BoxyCharm Hello Charmer palette, but it actually has some really nice tones in here, you guys. I don't know why I have never played with it. I think it's pretty old, to be honest, too, but it's really nice. Like, the shades in here are actually really pretty, like a neutral with those pops of colors. I'm really intrigued with this shade, like right here. That looks really cool. I'm gonna put this in my pile of palettes that I need to use for the month. The Too Faced glitter palette, and while I open it up and think it is really, really pretty looking, I just don't use it as much anymore. It gives me like very fairy vibes, just like the Urban Decay Moonlight one. I think that's what it's called, but I just don't use it a ton anymore. And I thought it was really interesting that you had the white and the black bases, but I just never gravitate towards this one. I have no idea why. So it's actually called the Moon Dust palette, and this is what the Moon Dust palette looks like. And now that I'm kind of looking at it, they're definitely not the same at all. I just meant that this is another palette that gives you those really nice pops of color and those really nice added shimmer shades, because both of those shades, in my opinion, would be more like complementary shades, complementary palettes. So yeah, I think that this is like the first palette I ever got when I was starting out with makeup, which was just so funny now looking at it because it's an all shimmer palette. So what did I think I was about to do with that? This is a Pure palette. This is the Pure Soiree Diaries palette, and I think this is really, really good for, you know, girls on the go, working girls. This is really good for me when I don't plan on doing heavy eyeshadow for the day, but I don't want to just go in with bronzer in my crease. That's when I actually use this specific palette. It's really, really pretty. I think the packaging is also really, really nice on this. This is the Ditto Venus palette. Personally, it's not my favorite, like just with how it's laid out. I understand that it's a little bit different, you know, it's supposed to be inspired, but at the same time, I just feel like for me personally, when I'm opening up my palette, I like all the shades to kind of be similar sizes and stuff, and I don't know. But I do love this shade right here. in the middle, and for that reason I go into this palette for that shade alone very, very often. This is the Color Festival BH Cosmetics palette, and it was really affordable, and you get really, really, really nice shades in here, and you also get really nice sizes. BH Cosmetics came out with this other palette. I don't know if it was Festival, but I just remember it had these teeny tiny little pans, and it had a bunch of colors, and that was really popular. But I never really liked that one because I didn't like how small the pans were. So I really, really loved when they came out with this one, because this is something that I actually love and like do use quite a bit, and I think the shimmers in here are bomb. Daisy. This is the BH Cosmetics Daisy Marquez palette. I think that the shade on this is so pretty. This top actually comes off, and then you can set it right there like that, and you can like watch yourself while you're doing your makeup, which I thought that was like nice that they put like a little mirror. I think that that's really, really innovative and really forward thinking. But anyways, I think the palette itself is also really cute. Oh my gosh, the shades in here are bomb, and yeah, I can't really say too much other than that. Really, really, really beautiful palette. Good job, Daisy. I have a few Moira Beauty palettes. This is the Dreamscape Dream Series palette right here. I love this palette. I love the colors. I love everything about this palette, and the quality is amazing. It doesn't feel dry to the touch, where I really don't like it when I mess with palettes that are colorful and the colors are dry to the touch, because usually that means it's a little bit harder to blend, and I don't feel like that with any of these shades. I always love the looks I come out with. It's a really, really great, colorful, affordable quality in my opinion. This next one is the Like a Melody palette. This is more purpley, pinky, reddy toned, and for that reason I love it so much, and I think that people probably like this one a little bit more than the last one if you're really not too much into color, because I feel like a lot of people that aren't like into color still really like those burgundy and pink shades. And yeah, I think that this is an amazing palette that I've used so many times by now and will continue to use. This is the MAC Art Designer palette, and I really love the quality in here. I remember when I bought it, they said it was limited edition, but I feel like you can still buy this like today. So it's kind of funny when brands do that, because you feel so pressured to buy a product and because it's gonna go away, and then it just doesn't. So then you feel like, dang, I could have waited. But oh well, I really do like the quality in here. I think that it's really, really beautiful. I haven't seen MAC do a whole bunch like this, so I was really excited like when they did, because the colors in here are phenomenal. The eye looks I've made are really, really pretty, and yeah, it's a pretty good palette. Moving on to my Nabla palettes. This is the Secret palette. This is the inside of the palette. I think that Nabla has some of the most beautiful color stories I've ever seen, and some of the nicest, creamiest quality that I've ever come across. Especially, like, I especially like the mattes more than the shimmers here. I do feel like the shimmers are beautiful, but what really gets me with these palettes are the mattes. We have the Soul Blooming palette. And these shades aren't as up my alley, if I'm being honest. Very cute and light, I do appreciate, but I don't reach for this palette very, very often. I'm gonna be really honest and tell you that. I don't reach for this one super often. This is the Poison Garden palette, and the shades in here, dude, for fall, stop it. Stop it right now. This is like the perfect fall palette. I love this color story. I love the mattes, the shimmers. The quality in here is amazing, and if this is a color story that resonates with you, I would definitely recommend getting your hands on it, especially for Black Friday, because I know they're definitely going to have a sale. This is the Dreamy Eyeshadow palette, and it looks like this. This is also another one of them that I'm not super duper, you know, honed in on. Like, now this is the Dreamy palette by Nabla, and this one I'm not 100% like drawn to it, but I do like the fact that they added these purples, because purple's my favorite color, and I can really incorporate the color purple very easily here with also having a really nice neutral look. This is the Dreamy 2 palette, which looks like this. It has that really nice shimmer formula in there, which I think is it's actually really, really pretty and stunning. I like this palette because it's different than anything that I really have in my collection. I'm going to show you guys like the difference right here, side to side. And yeah, I definitely do prefer this one a little bit more just because it's a little bit more unique. And yeah, I like that. This is my Flamingo palette, and this is my favorite Violet Voss palette that I own. I think that this is the perfect summer palette. It's so beautiful in my opinion. I think that you can make some gorgeous looks in here, and I love the colors that they chose. This is the Violet Voss Holy Grail palette, and I think for a lot of people this was a holy grail back when it came out years ago. And I do think this one reminds me of the Anastasia palette a bit, the Modern Renaissance, just because you have those, you know, those neutrals with that pop of berry in there. So I did really used to love this palette a lot. I don't use it anymore, but for the time that I did have it and use it, I loved it. This is the Violet Voss Ride or Die palette, and this is a humongous palette, which really isn't my vibe as much anymore. And when I look at this palette, it's not my vibes at all. It's definitely not something I would pick up today, because I look at it and I'm not inspired at all. Like, not even a little bit. So I'm not sure. I must have just bought it because it was so big, and Violet Voss was a little bit more popular back then. I don't know. I'd probably declutter this. Let's talk Morphe. This is my Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. The first one, I never got the second one, but this is what the first one looks like. And I have to tell you, I never ever use this anymore. But you guys know how popular it was when it first did come out. Everyone wanted this, everyone had this. And yeah, I just think it was a really cute time in the makeup industry when this did come out. The Morphe Artistry palette, and it looks like this. I think this one was definitely in support of LGBTQ+, which I love. Being a lesbian, even if I wasn't, that's amazing. And the shades in here are so beautiful. This is really unlike anything that I usually see Morphe do. Recently, I think they've been adding more color into their palettes, but in the past, they never really did that. So this was really amazing when they did, and I remember I did a whole dedicated YouTube video to this using this palette before, and I loved it then, and I still think it's beautiful now. This is the 35G Bronze Goals palette. Also, never ever use this palette. When they're big like this, I don't know, I just never do. I'm trying to get into it, but all these palettes I'm about to show you, I never use them. I never use them. It's so unfortunate because the quality is actually really good. I have used this in like one video before, and I did really like the quality, but I just never ever use it. I never use it anymore. It's so wasteful. I never use this. Everyone loves this so much, and it's not bad quality, but I never use it. Like, I think you can really tell that I just never ever use this palette. And the color story is gorgeous. I mean, you have so many nudes and colorful shades, very much like the Juvia's Place one if you really think about it. But I just do not use it, you guys. This is the Morphe Artistry palette, and it looks like this. This one is actually really gorgeous, and I have used this one way more than the other ones just because the quality of this is amazing. So, I mean, even though it's huge, I still really resonate with the purpley pinky tones because those are some of my favorite shades to use when I'm doing makeup. This one is just a magnetic palette that I own with 3 little Colourpop shimmer shades in there. Well, 3 Colourpop shades. This is the Glamlite Burger palette. Now, this is beautiful, but for some reason, mine oils up just like all around these 2 shades. This also happened with the other palette because, see, they had to send me another one of this because I sent them a photo, and I was like, hey, I don't know why this is happening. I've only had it for 2 weeks. They sent me another one. This is the other one, and it still happened. So I'm not really sure why this happens. Comment below if you know why. and if you experience the same thing with Glamlite shadows. Other than that though, I will tell you, I think this is so fun. It's such a fun palette to have, and the quality of the shimmers in here is amazing, and the quality of the mattes for these colorful shades is so pretty, but I don't know if I want to use it on my eyes. This is the Lorac Mega 3 Pro palette, and I used to really love this one. I still actually use it sometimes when I want to do like a brown look. I forgot to share this Colourpop palette earlier. It's the So Jaded Kathleen Lights and Colourpop palette. This would also probably be in my top 3 of palettes I would really recommend you guys pick up, because this palette is gorgeous. I've made so many different eye looks with this palette alone, and I think the quality in here is phenomenal, like top notch. Like Bretman Rock palette, it looks like this. I think it's super cute. I've never used it though. Never ever used it. My friend has though, and I believe she said she liked it. This is the Ace Beaute Scarlet Dusk palette. I think these are some beautiful tones in here. It's not my favorite formula with the shimmers. I'm going to be like really honest with you guys with that, but I think they have since reformulated, so I think the shimmers are actually really better now. This is the Quintessential palette by Ace Beaute as well, and this is what the shades look like. I remember when this came out years ago, I thought that the color story in here was really cute, really amazing, really different, and I really love the packaging, and I still do. I just don't really reach for this one anymore. And this is actually what the new formula looks like, I believe, which as you can tell, like the shimmers definitely appear to look a bit different here, and I do love the shimmers here way more than the other palettes. And this is the Falling For You palette. I think this is amazing for fall. I love that they didn't just stick to the traditional oranges and yellows, you know what I mean? I love that we got this green shade here. I think this is a really well put together palette for sure. This is the Queen of Hearts palette, you guys, and I have to tell you guys, honestly, this palette is stunning. I think it's one of the most beautiful palettes that I own. I love colored Raine. I've had this for years, and I would still recommend this to you today just because the quality is that good. Is it picking up? Yeah, I think it's so pretty, and it's so also very sleek, which I love that in a palette. This is the Colored Raine X Power palette, and it is so beautiful, you guys. Purple tones are my favorite, like I said earlier, so if you're a purple eyeshadow lover, you will definitely like this palette as well. I mean, gorgeous, like this is giving all the vibes. This is a really nice color palette, you guys. It's the Slush September Rose palette, and I'm opening it up. This is what the shades look like. I think that they're very good, very good quality, like really good quality, you guys. And I don't really use this one as much anymore. I have no idea why. I think I just have some other color palettes that I use a little bit more often now. Blush 2 palette is an all matte palette, and I really do love their mattes more than their shimmers. That's just my opinion. So I did want to pick this one up as well because I do feel like it has some different tones than the other palette did. I haven't even touched it though, which is that sad. I haven't. I need to. This is the Too Faced Totally Cute palette, and I have no idea why I still own this one because I never use, like I don't use this at all. This is another one I don't use at all. This is the Too Faced I Want Candy palette, and it looks like this. I remember when it did come out, I think this is like a holiday palette. I really did like it a lot. I feel like I've outgrown a lot of my Too Faced palettes. Heartlit and Bloom palette. This one as well, I think I have grown out, but it's a really nice neutral palette. I remember it was really hyped up. I think it was like a cult favorite in the past, like when it first came out back then, and everyone was talking about it, so I had to get it. The quality was good, but I just don't use it anymore. This is my only Makeup Geek palette that I own, and of course it's with Manny MUA. You guys know I love Manny MUA. And this is what the color story looks like. I think this is a beautiful palette, even now still looking at it. Like I would do a look with this palette today and be happy. And that's saying something because this is a very old palette. Lightos palettes, you guys, and I think that these are phenomenal. Now I haven't tried this one. This is the Sci-Fi Green, and it looks like this. Used this one quite a bit. It's the Electro Turquoise one, and this is what it looks like. That shade right there, this one, is amazing on the eyelids. This whole palette is so good, you guys. Every time I use this palette, I get compliments because the quality is just that insane, and I want more. I want so many more of these palettes. I actually missed a Violet Voss palette. This is the Best Life palette, and I think the reason I missed it is because I bought it on a sale and I never touched it. So sometimes a good piece of advice I could give you is that if you didn't want it when it wasn't on sale, don't buy it when it is on sale. Like, buy things that are on sale that you have been wanting and eyeing for a minute. This is the Ciate. This is the Chloe Morello Ciate London palette. Looks like this. I don't think this is really up my alley anymore, but when it first came out, it was really popular. People were talking about it, and so I had to get my hands on it. It's not a bad palette. I just never use it. I got in a BoxyCharm. It is the Fairy Tale Storybook Cosmetics palette. Nothing wrong with it, but I'm just not gravitating towards it. This is the e.l.f. Opposites Attract palette, and I think it's really, really cute, you guys. It's really, really nice. You have some cooler tones in there, some warmer tones. I just did a Halloween eye look with this, and you guys really seem to like it on TikTok. And yeah, I think this is a bomb palette. This is the Kat Von D Saint and Sinners palette. This is so old. Oh my gosh, I remember begging my mom to get this for me. This is the e.l.f. Electric Mood palette. I just wanted to show you guys this really, really quickly because I did have it in my Target bag from my Target video that I just put up the other day. But I went and got it, and I just wanted to show you guys this because I think it's such a pretty color story for summer. The Naughty palette by Kylie Jenner. You guys know I had the nice one in the last video. I don't know why they weren't together, but this is what it looks like, and I thought this was actually like really cool when it had came out, but now I just do not use it. This is the e.l.f. Prism eyeshadow palette, and you guys, it is nice, but again, I just don't use it. This is the Alamar Cosmetics palette from my BoxyCharm that I got, and this is what the shades look like. I think it's pretty stunning, to be honest, and yeah, I don't really use it a bunch, but the quality in here is actually really good. This is the Donuts palette by Violet Voss. I forgot to add this one too, and this is what it looks like. It's really cute, but I just haven't used it. Guys, this is the purple Kylie Jenner palette. The quality in here is okay. I remember when it first came out, everyone really, really was hyping it up, but yeah, I don't really use it anymore. That was all of my palette collection video, you guys. Let me know if you guys want to see a declutter, and then also let me know if you guys want me to do more collection videos as far as, you know, setting sprays or bronzers, blushes, anything like that. Definitely let me know if you want to see it. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still here and you watched this whole entire video, thank you so much. I love you, and please consider subscribing and maybe leaving a nice comment below. Bye everyone.